The story opens in the year 2387 aboard the Galactic Council's monitoring station Nexus Prime, orbiting the dead system of Kepler 442. Commander Alex Rivers and his crew of scientists monitor deep space for threats to the allied worlds. The station houses representatives from 12 different alien species, all working together to maintain peace in their sector of the galaxy. Dr. Lisa Park, the station's chief physicist, detects something impossible on her sensors. A massive ship, nearly 3 kilometers long, has simply appeared in the center of the system. Not jumped, not warped, not teleported. It just materialized as if it had always been there. The ship defies every known law of physics the Council has discovered in their 1,000 years of space travel. The alien crew members are stunned. Captain Vex, a reptilian Saurian, has never seen anything like it in his 200 years of service. Engineer Korg, a crystalline being from the mineral worlds, declares the readings impossible. The ship shows no energy signatures, no propulsion systems, and no obvious means of life support, yet it clearly houses something alive. What makes it more disturbing is that the ship appears to be made of materials that shouldn't exist. It absorbs scanner beams completely, reflects no light, yet remains perfectly visible to the naked eye. It seems to bend space around itself without creating any gravitational distortions. Commander Rivers orders a careful approach. As Nexus Prime moves closer, they realize something even more shocking. The ship is human in origin. Faded markings on the hull show symbols and text in ancient Earth languages, but the ship's design is beyond anything humanity has ever created. Humans are the newest species in the Galactic Council, having joined only 50 years ago, and their technology is considered primitive compared to the older races. The mystery deepens when Dr. Park detects life signs aboard the vessel, hundreds of them all human. But according to all records, no human ship has ever ventured this far into deep space. The nearest human colony is 6 months away at maximum warp speed. As the part ends, the nameless ship suddenly sends out a simple message in perfect galactic standard. We need to talk. Commander Rivers calls an emergency council meeting with all species representatives aboard Nexus Prime. The message from the mysterious ship has put everyone on edge. Captain Vex argues for immediate military backup, while Dr. Mel, a peaceful aquatic from the ocean worlds, suggests diplomatic contact. The humans aboard the station Rivers, Dr. Park, and engineer Tom White find themselves in an awkward position. Their own species appears to have created something that should be impossible, yet they know nothing about it. Dr. Park works frantically to understand how the ship could exist. She runs simulation after simulation, but every model breaks down when trying to explain the vessel's properties. It exists in normal space, but seems to follow different rules of physics entirely. Meanwhile, the alien crew members begin sharing their own theories. The ancient ethereals, energy beings who have existed for millennia, whisper among themselves about old legend stories of races that transcended normal physical laws. But these are myths, tales told to children, not scientific possibilities. Engineer Korg makes a disturbing discovery while analyzing the ship's hull composition. The materials aren't just unknown, they appear to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. When he tries to focus scanners on specific sections, the readings shift and change, as if the ship is partially phased out of their reality. The tension builds when 3 more ships appear in the system, materializing just as impossibly as the first. These vessels are smaller, but equally mysterious, taking defensive positions around the original ship. None of them show any aggressive posturing, but their very presence is intimidating. Captain Vex receives orders from Saurian Command to treat this as a potential threat. Other Council worlds are sending warships, fearing that humanity has somehow developed secret technology that could upset the galactic balance of power. The fragile peace between species begins to strain. Dr. Park realizes something crucial while studying the energy patterns around all four ships. They're not just defying physics, they're selectively ignoring certain laws while following others. Gravity affects them, but electromagnetic radiation doesn't. They have mass, but no inertia. It's as if someone has rewritten the fundamental rules of reality just for these vessels. Commander Rivers makes a difficult decision. Against protocol and the wishes of several alien crew members, he decides to answer the mysterious message. Using the station's main communications array, he sends a simple response: "We're listening." The reply comes immediately, and it changes everything they thought they knew about the situation. The voice is calm, distinctly human, and speaks with an accent that Dr. Park recognizes as North American English from Earth's 21st century. "Commander Rivers, we need your help. We're not from your timeline." The revelation that the ships are from another timeline sends shockwaves through Nexus Prime. Commander Rivers demands proof, while the alien crew members struggle to process the implications. Time travel is considered theoretically possible, but practically impossible by all known science. The mysterious voice identifies itself as Captain Ben Harris of the Earthship Defiance. He explains that his fleet comes from a timeline where humanity developed very differently. In his reality, humans never joined the Galactic Council because they were too busy fighting a war that lasted 300 years. Dr. Park's mind races as Captain Harris describes technology based on probability manipulation rather than traditional physics. His people learned to alter the likelihood of certain physical laws applying to their ships, making them nearly impossible to detect or destroy. They didn't break the laws of physics. They convinced reality that different laws should apply to them. The war Harris describes was against an enemy called the Void Hunters, creatures from the space between dimensions that consumed entire star systems. Humanity in his timeline was forced to evolve or die, leading them to develop impossible technologies out of pure necessity. But Harris brings terrible news. The Void Hunters have found a way to cross between timelines, and his reality is already lost. Earth is gone, along with billions of humans and every world they ever colonized. His 4 ships represent the last of his people, a few thousand survivors fleeing across dimensional barriers. Captain Vex and the other alien representatives are skeptical until Harris proves his claims. He demonstrates their probability manipulation technology by making his ship exist in 2 locations simultaneously, then phases it partially out of reality. The display terrifies everyone watching, as it suggests technology beyond anything the Council has ever encountered. Engineer Tom White asks the obvious question: if Harris's people are so advanced, why do they need help? The answer chills everyone to the bone. The Void Hunters adapt to whatever they encounter. Harris's people held them off for decades, but eventually, the creatures learned to manipulate probability just as well as humans could. Dr. Park makes a connection that horrifies her. The energy readings she's been detecting aren't just from Harris's ships. There's something else in the system, something that exists just outside normal spacetime. The Void Hunters have followed Harris's fleet across dimensional barriers. Harris confirms her worst fears. His people's arrival has created a dimensional wake that the Void Hunters can follow. He estimates they have perhaps 6 hours before the creatures break through into this reality. Once they do, they'll consume everything in this galaxy just as they did in his timeline. The situation becomes desperate when long-range sensors detect Council warships approaching from multiple directions. The alien governments, unaware of the true threat, are preparing to attack what they see as a human trick or invasion. Captain Vex receives orders to evacuate Nexus Prime and let the military handle the situation. Commander Rivers faces an impossible choice. He can follow protocol, evacuate the station, and let the Council fleets engage Harris's ships, potentially dooming both realities when the Void Hunters arrive. Or he can trust the word of a man from another timeline and help prepare for a threat. Beyond imagination. Dr. Park makes the decision for him when her sensors detect the first signs of dimensional fracturing at the edge of the system. Space itself is beginning to tear, and something vast and hungry is starting to push through from the void between realities. Asterisk. The dimensional fractures spread across the system like cracks in glass. Dr. Park's instruments go wild as reality itself becomes unstable. Through the growing tears in space, glimpses of something impossible become visible. A darkness that moves with purpose and seems to consume light itself. Commander Rivers makes a command decision that could end his career or save two realities. He broadcasts on all Council frequencies, explaining the situation and begging the approaching fleets to hold their positions. Most commanders dismiss his message as human trickery, but a few, including Admiral Nova of the Ethereal Fleet, recognize the energy signatures. Dr. Park is transmitting as something from their oldest nightmares. Captain Harris's ships move into defensive positions around Nexus Prime. He explains that the Void Hunters don't just destroy matter, they erase it from existence entirely, leaving behind regions of space where nothing can ever exist again. His timeline tried everything: nuclear weapons, antimatter bombs, stellar manipulation. Nothing worked except running. Dr. Park works desperately alongside Harris's chief scientist, Dr. Amy Chung, one of the few names that slips through from his reality. They discover that the Void Hunters exist in a state of negative reality, feeding on the fundamental forces that hold the universe together. Traditional weapons can't harm them because they exist in the spaces between atoms, between thoughts, between possibilities. The alien crew members of Nexus Prime struggle to comprehend the threat. Engineer Korg's crystalline form actually begins to crack from the stress of processing information that shouldn't be possible. Captain Vex contacts his superiors, trying to convince the Saurian fleet to work with Harris instead of attacking him. The first Void Hunter scout emerges from a dimensional tier near the system's outer planets. It appears as a shifting absence, not black, not empty, but somehow less than the space around it. Where it passes, stars dim and planets lose coherence, their atoms forgetting how to stay together. Harris demonstrates his people's fighting techniques, using probability manipulation to make his weapons exist in the same space as the creature. For a moment, it seems to work. The scout dissolves back into the void. But Dr. Park's readings show that the creature wasn't destroyed. It was learning. More tiers open across the system. Through them, the main Void Hunter force becomes visible, a fleet of impossible ships that hurt to look at directly. They move through space by making space forget they weren't already there, arriving without traveling, attacking without moving. A Council fleets arrive just as the first wave of Void Hunters breaks through completely. Admiral Nova's ethereal ships immediately recognize the threat and join Harris's defensive formation. The Saurian fleet, led by Captain Vex's brother, Admiral Rax, attacks both the humans and the Void Hunters, not understanding which is the real enemy. In the chaos of three-way battle, Dr. Park makes a crucial discovery. The Void Hunters aren't just consuming reality, they're converting it into something else, something that exists in their native dimension. But the process isn't perfect. Small fragments of normal matter and energy get left behind, creating a trail that might be followed. Commander Rivers realizes what this means. If they can track the Void Hunter's dimensional wake, they might be able to find where Harris's timeline went and possibly restore it. But to do that, they need to survive the next few hours and find a way to send the creatures back to the void between realities. The battle intensifies as more Council fleets arrive and choose sides. Some join in the fight against the Void Hunters, while others continue attacking Harris's ships, believing them to be the real threat. In the middle of it all, Nexus Prime coordinates the defense, with representatives from 12 species working together to save 2 entire realities. As the part ends, Dr. Park detects something that changes everything. Deep within the largest dimensional tier, something vast is stirring. The Scouts and Advance Fleet were just the beginning. The true Void Hunter force planet-sized, entities that consume entire star systems in minutes, is preparing to cross over into reality. Asterisk. The revelation of the massive Void Hunter entities forces every ship in the system to make a choice. Admiral Rex, finally understanding the true scope of the threat, orders his Saurian fleet to cease fire on Harris's ships and join the defensive formation. Captain Vex's relief is visible as his species chooses survival over suspicion. Dr. Park and Dr. Sean work together to develop a desperate plan. If they can't destroy the Void Hunters, perhaps they can trap them. Using Nexus Prime's experimental dimensional stabilizers, combined with Harris's probability manipulation technology, they might be able to seal the dimensional tiers, but only if every ship in the system contributes power to the effort. The plan requires perfect coordination between dozens of ships using completely different technologies. Ethereal energy manipulation, Saurian plasma systems, crystalline harmonic resonance, and human fusion reactors must all work in perfect harmony. It should be impossible, but Harris points out that impossible is a human specialty. Commander Rivers takes command of the combined fleet, despite protests from several alien admirals. His argument is simple. The Void Hunters came through because of humanity, so humanity should lead the fight to send them back. More importantly, he's the only commander that both the Council forces and Harris's timeline trust completely. The first phase of the battle goes badly. Traditional weapons prove useless against the Void Hunters, and even Harris's advanced technology can only slow them down. Entire ships begin to fade from existence as the creatures convert matter into void stuff. The aquatic ship Deep Current vanishes completely, erased so thoroughly that the survivors can't even remember its name. But something unexpected happens during the fight. The diverse technologies of the Council fleet begin to interact with Harris's probability manipulation in ways that neither side anticipated. Saurian plasma, when filtered through ethereal energy fields and focused by crystalline harmonic amplifiers, creates weapons that can actually harm the Void Hunters. Dr. Park realizes that this is why the Void Hunters won in Harris's timeline. His people fought alone, using only probability manipulation. But the Council's diverse technologies, when combined with human innovation, create possibilities that exist outside normal physical laws. The creatures can adapt to any single approach, but they struggle with the chaos of 12 different species. Working together, the tide of battle turns when Engineer Tom White discovers that the Void Hunters have a weakness. They can't process paradoxes. Using Korg's multidimensional analysis equipment, he creates a weapon that exists and doesn't exist simultaneously, fired from ships that are both there and not there. The creature's ability to adapt breaks down when faced with contradictory information. As the main Void Hunter force begins to retreat, Dr. Park initiates the dimensional sealing protocol. Every ship in the combined fleet channels power into Nexus Prime stabilizers, creating a barrier between realities. The process is agonizing. Several ships overload their systems and have to be abandoned, but it works. The dimensional tiers begin to close, trapping the remaining Void Hunters in normal space where they can be fought and defeated. But just before the largest portal seals completely, Dr. Park detects something incredible. Harris's timeline still exists damaged and empty, but not completely destroyed. The Void Hunters had been consuming it slowly, saving it as a long-term food source. In the final moments before the portals close, Harris makes a choice that surprises everyone. Instead of staying in this reality, where his people would be safe, he volunteers to lead a rescue mission back to his timeline. Using the dimensional wake the Void Hunters created, a small fleet could cross over and begin the work of restoration. Commander Rivers offers to go with him, along with volunteers from every species in the Council. If humans in one timeline could develop impossible technology under pressure, perhaps humans working with alien allies could accomplish the seemingly impossible task of rebuilding a consumed reality. The story ends with two fleets, one staying to defend this timeline, and one crossing over to restore the other. Dr. Park remains behind to study the dimensional technology, while Dr. Chun leads the restoration effort. The nameless ship that started everything is revealed to be called the Second Chance, and it lives up to its name. In the final scene, Commander Rivers and Captain Harris stand together on the bridge of the Second Chance, watching as the first stars begin to shine. Again, in a timeline that had been dark for months. Behind them, beings from 12 different species work side by side, proving that some laws of physics, like the power of unity, transcend even dimensional boundaries. The last line reveals the story's true message. Sometimes the most impossible thing isn't defying physics, it's getting different people to work together. But when they do, they can restore entire realities.